just got teleported to a Marvel planet. Not the movie version, the real version. No suit, no powers, no backup. The only question is, how long do you last? I'm IPOC, and today we're doing autopsies. 9 Marvel worlds, 1 ordinary human, you, dropped in with 0 gear, 0 prep, and 0 plot armor. I'm ranking every single planet from you might actually survive a few days, all the way down to you evaporate before you even realize you're dead. And I promise you, one of them kills you so strangely, so specifically, that you won't even understand what happened to you until it's already over. Let's get into it.
Planet 1, Sakaar. The junkyard at the end of the universe. And you're the junk. Survival rating, 2 out of 10. The first thing that hits you on Sakaar isn't the smell, it's the sound. This planet sits at the convergence point of dozens of wormholes that are constantly, without pause, vomiting debris from across the galaxy. Not gravel, we're talking entire starships, skyscrapers of compacted scrap metal dropping out of the sky at terminal velocity with 0 warning and 0 pattern. You land on Sakaar, and within 30 seconds, something the size of a city block falls out of a portal directly above you. You don't see it coming, you don't hear it until it's too late. You just stop existing. But let's say you're lucky. Let's say your landing spot is clear and nothing immediately murders you from above. Now you have to breathe. Sakaar's atmosphere is the result of 1 million years of galactic waste accumulation. Every civilization that ever threw something away, their dead ships, their failed experiments, their biological refuse, some of it ended up here, compressed into the air itself. The organic spore content alone would start eating your lung tissue within minutes. Add the industrial chemical compounds from 1,000 different civilizations, and what you have is an atmosphere that is uniquely, almost elegantly, incompatible with human biology. 4 minutes. That's your window before the damage becomes irreversible. Now, if by some miracle you make it past the falling debris and you hold your breath long enough to find shelter, congratulations. You've just been spotted by hunters. Because on Sakaar, every living thing has a price. It's not a metaphor. There is a literal economy built around catching, tagging, and selling whatever wanders in through the wormholes. Your value? Probably low. Which means you don't go to a nice facility. You go to the gladiator pits. Electrified floor, screaming crowd, and across the arena from you, something green, enormous, and currently very, very angry. The Hulk didn't usually kill opponents on purpose, for what it's worth. He spared the clowns. So if you're funny under pressure, statistically, you have a shot. Planet 2, Vormir, where the Soul Stone lives, where you won't. Survival rating, 3 out of 10. If Sakaar kills you with noise and chaos, Vormir kills you with silence. You land, and the first thing you notice is how quiet it is. No wind, really. No wildlife. Just gray rock and a sky that looks like it gave up. And then, slowly, you start to feel it. A heaviness that isn't just emotional. The gravity on Vormir runs approximately 30% higher than Earth standard. It doesn't sound like much until you're living inside it. Your heart has to work harder to push blood through your body. Your spine compresses under the extra load. Your joints ache like you're permanently carrying a second version of yourself on your back. And that feeling doesn't go away because it can't. Your cardiovascular system was not engineered for this. Every hour, the strain compounds. But the gravity is almost secondary to the atmosphere. Vormir runs hyperoxic at high pressure, meaning there's too much oxygen delivered too forcefully. Oxygen toxicity is a real phenomenon. At depth, it causes seizures. Here, without a pressure suit, your central nervous system starts misfiring around the 20-minute mark. Muscle lock comes shortly after. By the end of the first hour, you are part of the landscape. And yet,
the thing that will most likely end you on Vormir isn't the physics, it's him.
The Red Skull has been stationed on Vormir for decades, possibly centuries, as the keeper of the Soul Stone. He cannot leave, he cannot die. All he can do is watch people arrive and wait. And in all that time, he has developed one specific, deeply refined skill. He knows you. Everything you've done, every choice, every moment you're not proud of. He won't attack you. He'll just stand there at the edge of that cliff and describe you back to yourself. Some people are more afraid of being known than of dying. Vormir figured that out a long time ago, and it built its whole personality around it. Planet 3, Hala, a civilization that won against nature and lost to itself. Survival rating 2.5 out of 10. Hala is what happens when a species industrializes for 10,000 years and never once asks whether it should stop. The Kree Empire is one of the most powerful civilizations in the Marvel galaxy. They've conquered hundreds of worlds, developed technology that bends physics, and built a capital city of staggering scale and complexity. The air above that city is a nitrogen-heavy industrial smog containing compounds that Kree physiology evolved alongside over millennia, and yours did not. Here's the insidious part. You won't cough immediately. You won't feel sick right away. The first few hours, you might actually feel fine. A little tired, maybe, a slight headache that you attribute to stress. But the carcinogens are already working at the cellular level. Quiet, invisible, methodical. By the end of day 1, you can't walk a straight line. By day 3, your cells are losing the argument. But let's assume you found a breathing apparatus. Let's assume you solved the air problem. Now, you have to navigate Kree military law, which operates on a classification system that has exactly 2 categories for unknown biological entities: spy or bioweapon. You don't fit either one, but the system doesn't have a third option. And the accusers, the Kree military judges and enforcers, are not known for patience or nuanced inquiry. A cosmic warhammer to the skull isn't filed as a murder on Hala. It's filed as a verdict. Planet 4, Nidavellir. God's Forge, your grave. Survival rating 0.5 out of 10. Let me tell you about neutron stars. When a massive star dies, its core collapses under its own gravity into an object roughly the size of a city, but containing more mass than our sun. The gravitational pull at the surface of a neutron star is approximately 100 billion times stronger than Earth's gravity. 100 billion! That is not a dramatic exaggeration for a YouTube script. That is the actual number from astrophysics. The dwarves of Nidavellir built a Dyson ring around one of these objects to harness its energy output. The Forge of the Gods. The place where Mjolnir was made, where Stormbreaker was made, where the most powerful weapons in the Marvel Universe were constructed. It is genuinely one of the most impressive engineering achievements in the galaxy. And if you drift even close to that star, your body does not explode. It stretches. The gravitational gradient, the difference in pull between your head and your feet, becomes so extreme that your body elongates. The atoms that make up your cells are pulled apart faster than biological matter can structurally respond. You become thin, then thinner, then a single atomic layer of what used to be a person, stretched across thousands of miles of space. Scientists have a name for this process. They call it spaghettification. The universe invented a pasta-themed word for the specific way it kills you. This is a real term. It is in real physics textbooks. I did not make it up. If you stay far enough back to avoid the spaghettification zone, the forge itself operates at temperatures where steel doesn't melt. It evaporates, goes directly from solid to gas. Your boiling point, for reference, is considerably lower than steel's. Planet 5, Xandar.
The best place to die comfortably. Survival rating, 4 out of 10. Oh, okay. This is unexpected. Xandar is nice. The atmosphere is compatible with human biology with minimal deviation. The gravity is close to Earth standard. The Nova Core maintains civil order. There's infrastructure, culture, architecture that suggests genuine civic investment. There are cafes. There are parks. The food situation is unclear but promising. Your lungs work here. Your heart doesn't have to strain. You could, in theory, get a job and an apartment and start building something like a life. This is the highest survival rating in today's lineup. And you are absolutely still gonna die here. Because Xandar is the single most politically targeted planet in the known galaxy. The Power Stone was held here, which makes it a permanent priority target for every power-hungry maniac with a fleet. The Annihilation Wave decimated this system. Ronan came within minutes of using the Power Stone to turn the entire planetary surface to glass. And Thanos, who is not known for inefficiency, eliminated the population in 6 minutes flat. 6 minutes! That's not a war. That's not an invasion. That's a scheduled appointment that you didn't know was on the calendar. You won't finish your coffee. You won't see it coming. The sky will just change and then nothing. The most livable planet on this list is also the deadliest. Not because of what it is, but because of what it has. Sometimes a place kills you with its politics, not its physics. Xandar is proof that you can build something beautiful and it still won't save you. Planet 6, Asgard. Paradise, scheduled apocalypse, repeat forever. Survival rating, 3 out of 10. Asgard is one of the most visually extraordinary places in the Marvel Universe. A flat landmass floating in the cosmic void, suspended by its own gravitational field, with a climate maintained by what the Asgardians call advanced technology, and everyone else calls magic. The Bifrost Bridge is a feat of engineering that bends the laws of physics across galaxies. The city is gold and ancient and magnificent. The people who live there are warriors who have lived for thousands of years and are physically around 1,000 times more powerful than any human being. You are a very, very fragile tourist in a very, very powerful neighborhood. The atmosphere is breathable. The food, presumably, is edible. The Asgardians, if you are not perceived as a threat, might even be hospitable. There's a version of events where you land, get welcomed, and live comfortably for years as a curiosity, a guest, a study in contrast, a soft landing compared to everything we've discussed so far. And then Ragnarok happens. In Marvel lore, particularly the comics, Asgard exists in a cycle. Total destruction followed by total rebirth. Engineered and maintained by cosmic entities called those who sit above in shadow, who feed on the energy of the cycle itself. It is not a metaphor. It is a literal, scheduled, automated extinction event that resets on a cosmic timer. Surtur comes. Everything burns. And then, everything is reborn, with no memory of what came before. You will live in Asgard. You will exist there. You will watch the sunsets over the Golden City. And then, you will burn. And then you will do all of it again, with no knowledge that it's already happened, that you've already burned, that this is iteration unknown of a loop that has no exit. Death, you can make peace with. Death has an end. What Asgard offers is something else entirely. Existence without finality, experience without memory, a life that keeps starting over and calling it living. That's not death. That might be worse. Planet 7, Ego. You're not a guest. You're the meal. Survival rating, 1 out of 10. Ego is not a planet. I want to be very clear about this before we go any further, because the word planet implies something geological, something inert, something that does not have opinions about you. Ego is a celestial, an ancient primordial being of near incomprehensible power, who chose, at some point in the distant past, to become his own world. The surface you'd walk on is his skin. The mountains rising from that surface are his muscles. The cave systems running through the interior are, in a very literal sense, his digestive tract. When you land on Ego, he knows. Immediately. Completely. And here's where it gets psychologically complicated. Because Ego is not immediately hostile. He is, in fact, a remarkably gracious host when he wants to be. If he finds you interesting, he will provide for you. The climate will be perfect. The terrain will be beautiful. Food will appear, materialized from his own biomass, assembled specifically to match what you want. It will feel like the universe has finally decided to be kind to you. You will relax. You will think, maybe this one worked out.
And then he absorbs you. Not kills, absorbs. There is a crucial difference, and it is the difference between this being a 1 out of 10 and a 0 out of 10. Your consciousness does not go dark. It dissolves into his. You begin thinking thoughts that were his and now feel like yours. Your memories, every one of them, become part of his archive, cataloged, accessible, used. You stop being yourself in any meaningful sense. But you don't die. You persist. Somewhere in the vastness of a living planet, a microscopic echo of who you were continues to exist, experiencing the infinite loneliness of a being who has consumed everything it ever tried to love. That's worse than death by a distance that I'm not sure language can actually measure. Planet 8, Titan. The ruins of the worst decision in history. Survival rating, 1.5 out of 10. The first thing to understand about Titan is that it's already over. You're not landing in an active crisis. You're landing in the aftermath of one. Specifically, the aftermath of a civilization that saw its end coming, had a proposed solution, rejected the solution on moral grounds, and then died anyway. The planet has been a wasteland for generations. The structures still standing are monuments to a society that ran out of time before it could agree on how to buy more of it. Everything here is a ruin. And ruins have a specific kind of silence that regular empty places don't. A silence that knows what used to fill it. The atmosphere is what's left after a biosphere collapses. Not completely gone, but depleted to the point where the remaining mix becomes toxic at prolonged exposure. Your body can process it for a while. Not long enough. Nighttime temperatures drop to levels where your tissue doesn't freeze in the conventional sense. It crystallizes. The molecular structure of your cells reorganizes under the cold into something that is no longer alive in any functional definition of the word. But here's the thing about Titan that nobody really talks about. Buried in the core of the planet, according to deeper Marvel lore, is a celestial seed, a cosmic embryo of unimaginable scale, placed there in the universe's ancient past, slowly developing, waiting. When that embryo reaches maturity and hatches, the event will not be described by survivors as an explosion, because there won't be survivors to describe anything. Geologically, cosmologically, the correct word for what happens is birth. The difference between a birth and an explosion, if you're standing on the surface when it happens, is exactly nothing. Last stop. Inside a dead god's skull. Survival rating, 0.5 out of 10. Nowhere is the severed head of a dead celestial. Let me just let that sentence sit there for a moment. A god, an ancient, planet-sized cosmic being, was killed at some point in the universe's deep history by something powerful enough to kill a god. Its head separated from its body and drifted to the absolute edge of the universe, to a region called the Rip, where the fabric of space itself becomes unstable. And then people moved in. Because, of course they did. Humans, and beings like humans, looked at a dead god's skull floating at the edge of everything and thought,
real estate opportunity. Inside nowhere, there are mining operations, black markets, a transient population of mercenaries and collectors and creatures that exist nowhere else. And at the center of it all, the collector. A being of immense age and resources whose primary hobby is acquiring living specimens and keeping them in glass cases, permanently. You, arriving from Earth, a backwater planet with unusual biology by galactic standards, are exactly the kind of catalog entry he doesn't have yet.
If you avoid his collection, and that's a significant if, there are the gases. A celestial's body decomposes, slowly, on a cosmic scale, but decomposition is decomposition. The breakdown byproducts of divine biological matter seep through the mining shafts, through the walls, into the air. Neurotoxins from tissue that was never designed to rot because the being it belonged to was never designed to die. Your nervous system was not built to encounter this. Nobody's was. There was never supposed to be a need for that particular evolutionary protection. And if you breach a hull anywhere in the outer tunnels, which are old, which are poorly maintained, which are filled with beings who don't care about safety protocols, the vacuum is immediate. No drama, no sound, just the instant equalization of pressure and then nothing at all. A celestial's whole reason for existing was to create life, to seed worlds, to build civilizations, to set biological processes in motion across the universe. And now its corpse is the place where life gets bought, sold, poisoned, or quietly erased. That's either the darkest metaphor in the entire Marvel universe, or just a really, really bad neighborhood. Probably both. So, here's where we landed. If you have to pick a Marvel planet to actually live on, pick Xandar. You'll have a few good years before the next catastrophe. The coffee's probably decent.
Another Monday.
Enjoy it. If you want it over fast with no suffering, Nidavellir. Spaghettification is genuinely instantaneous at that scale. One moment you exist, the next you are distributed across several thousand miles of space in a configuration that is no longer recognizable as a person. Clean, efficient, surprisingly poetic. And if you want the strangest possible ending, ego. Somewhere out there, a tiny fragment of your consciousness is still experiencing things. Just not as you. Not even close to you. But technically, still. Here's what actually gets me about all of these worlds. Every single one of them was built out of something true. Nidavellir is humanity's oldest dream. Control over stars, over energy, over forces larger than ourselves. Ego is what loneliness looks like when it has no limit and no end. Titan is the story of a civilization that knew it was running out of time, couldn't agree on the solution, and ran out anyway. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Xandar is the proof that you can build something genuinely beautiful and still have it taken from you in 6 minutes by something you couldn't negotiate with. Marvel built a universe full of places that should be impossible, and somehow made each one a mirror. Next time, we're going through every Fallout vault, and there is one specific vault, one specific number that made me genuinely uncomfortable about what people are capable of when they have unlimited resources and no oversight. That one drops soon. I'm IPAC. Stay alive out there. Statistically, it's your best option.